Supernatural is something that forces beyond scientific understanding, because science has a limitation. And once it's limited to some calculations, then you can't go beyond that. If you go beyond that, the natural would become supernatural.
Hey friends, and welcome back to Conversations with Jewish Believers in Jesus. Our guest and scientist, Moris Niknam, Masters and Ph.D. in chemistry, will be joining us once again to talk about faith and the supernatural, and if those terms and concepts have any place in the scientific community. Thank you so much, Moris, for joining us once again here on the program.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so blessed.
Me too. So to many scientists, Moris, it must seem silly to use the words supernatural and faith. I don't know if you've ever been confronted by other scientists, but do these terms have any place in the scientific community? And if so, what is that place?
They're trying not to have the supernatural into the scientific community because there's no data. There's no tangible experimentation about supernatural. Supernatural is something that forces beyond scientific understanding, because science has a limitation. And once it's limited to some calculations, then you can't go beyond that. If you go beyond that, the natural would become supernatural. So how do we do this one? So there's one component comes to this supernatural identity, and it's called faith. Because everything starts with faith, and the faith is the confidence that we hope for, and the assurance that we do not see. And that's a fascinating Bible verse that I looked at. I said, can I bring this one into the scientific community? Because they're saying that it's assurance, what we hope for, and it's something, the confidence that we hope. So how do I do this one scientifically? So yes, there are so many scientists. All my friends are scientists, and some of them are Christians, but some of them are not. And they are really bombarding me with the questions of, you cannot talk about supernatural in science, and you cannot bring the intelligent design into the science because you don't have any data on this one. But when I start talking about this, and I said, okay, then how does science prove 100% that the Big Bang Theory is right, or the evolution is right, with all the inconclusive data in there? How do we do this one? And they always answer, the answers are, there is limited, and this is the best we can do. It's not 100% there. And I said, that's what the super comes to the natural realms of the scientific community, and we should talk about this. We should talk about something beyond science as well, because that's the definition of supernatural. It's beyond our understanding. Well, we could do this one. We could go to the atomic structures. We don't see the electrons or neutrons or protons, but we do believe in it. We know that it exists. We have proof of this. But can it be supernatural understanding of this? Because it's very fascinating. In fact, I want to share something. A scientist, Professor Higgs, came with this theory. He wanted to know what is the smallest particle that started the whole universe. And he found out. It's called Higgs particle, H-I-C-K. Higgs particle is the only particle that cannot be broken into any other particles. This is the particle that has started the whole universe. And guess what this professor called this particle? In the scientific community, in the scientific papers, he called it God's particle. It's just amazing that this scientist brought a supernatural mind and called this particle, because he said we can't explain the existence of this particle. All we see is just peaks or data on that, but we don't see it. So he brought these supernatural things into his mind, even though he's an atheist. He just said, this is God's particle. And that's fascinating. So it is possible to bring the supernatural into the community, scientific community. And I'm really proud of it to share that with other scientists as well. I'm not ashamed of it.
That's great. That's great. Has your faith ever kept you out of pursuing certain things in science? Has there been any disassociation or rejection from the scientific community?
Yes. I lost friendships. I lost friends. I have a really good friend in Israel, in fact. We restored a relationship recently. But it was because he's a scientist too. He worked with me in the lab together. And because of that, he just completely, disconnected with me. It hurts, but we have Yeshua. Yeshua can restore anything. I mean, my family rejected my ideas for my faith, but finally they came to the grips of it, and they just agree with me, and I was so delighted. But for years, I was physically upset, but spiritually, I was so happy that Yeshua was there to touch my heart.
Yeah, and that's what the joy that I found in you. I was talking about in the first episode when I first met you. I just noticed a joy about you, and through our conversations, we were talking about the trials, we were talking about the difficulties that we go through in life, and some of the things that the tragedies that you've experienced. Yet there's still a joy, an underlying joy that's there. So that's wonderful, and it's a great segue into our next segment. But you'll have to stay tuned to watch out for that one. Okay. That'll be coming up next. But so thank you, Moris, for sharing that. Really appreciate having you here on the channel.
So thank you for having me. Thank you.
Stay tuned for our next episode with Moris Niknam, where we'll be talking about his personal experience sharing Jesus with his family members and friends. If you enjoy these conversations, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to see more and learn more about Jews for Jesus, you can do so by going to the website, jewsforjesus.org. And you can even chat with us live and anonymously. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And may you all find peace and hope in our Messiah, Yeshua.